Brewers Log April 19th, 2025. So tonight I got 4 more gallons started. The first two over here are going to be a mint and lime mead, or not mead, cider. So I started out with 4 cups of cider and brought it to a boil with the first jug here has spearmint in it, and that 4 cups brought to a boil, and then I let it simmer for 4 minutes and then shut the heat off and let it sit for 10 minutes before I put it in the jug. Second jug here has peppermint in it. So the difference between these is spearmint has a half a cup of spearmint leaves in it, and versus the uh, um, peppermint, I only use a 1/4 cup. So I'm going to see which flavor I like better. That's about the ratio I found that I need to get the flavors I'm looking for. So we'll see when that finishes up how that is. Starting gravity on peppermint was 1.075. Starting gravity on the spearmint was 1.078. These both have a cup or about a pound of brown sugar in them, and they're using SO4 yeast. They have a teaspoon of pectin enzyme and a half teaspoon of yeast nutrient. So that's where those are at, and they are now ready to go. These two here are my Mountain Dew meads. One is using Stevenson honey, the other is using Cooper honey. Hey, starting gravity on the Cooper honey was 1.100, at least that's what I'm calling it. The starting gravity on the Stevenson honey, which I haven't got on the bottle, started out as 1.102, so just a little bit higher, but not much. They have of actually pectin enzyme because I wasn't much thinking about it as I was putting it in. Probably doesn't need pectin enzyme, but it's in there. And it has about a teaspoon of yeast nutrient, or I think they ended up getting energizer. So we'll see if that makes any difference. As you can see, I'm noticing these are already starting to bubble a little bit. So that's a good sign. These 2 jugs have half of a packet of Premier or Cuvée and Premier Blanc. So both of them have half of each of these 2 packets. I found those usually take off fairly well and work fairly well for meads, especially when I'm getting into that higher alcohol level. Well, those two work really well together. So, and let's move this up and see if I can get a good view on it. Okay, I can't tell if it's showing up very well, but it looks like we are currently, okay, that shows up really well. 67.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are currently at 65.3% humidity. So the humidity is a little high down here, but usually it is when I've been working down here. So I'm not overly worried, but it does say about 60%. So I think I'm going to have to get a dehumidifier to keep my bomb shelter from being so high in the humidity. But that's where I got tonight. Hopefully these come out fairly well. So the starting gravity of my spearmint looks like it's closer to, it's not quite a 1080, so I'm going to call it a 1078. At least that's what I think I'm going to go with this for this, because that looks like about where it's at. So I can't get much closer than that. That's where I'm finding it. So for my peppermint lime mead, it looks like it's going to start out as a 1075, maybe a 1076, but I'm going to put 1075 on the jar. All right, so for my Cooper Honey Mountain Dew mead, it looks like I'm coming out just about a 1100. At least I think that's where I'm at. It may be a 1110. And then need to look at it a little closer, but it's definitely into the white and just barely showing the blue, so we'll see where that's at. So for my Stevenson Honey Mountain Dew mead, I'm guessing I'm going to put this one as a 1.102 because I see a little bit of the blue, which is more than I saw on the other, which I do definitely know that it is a 1.800. So it definitely is about where I want it, or if a little bit higher than what I wanted at.